everyone, this is Melissa from Melissa Made, and today I'm going to share with you a short watercoloring tutorial. This is very simple, it's easy for beginners. I'm going to start with this Canson watercolor paper. It's 140 pound cold press paper, and I cut it down to 5.5 by 4.25 inches. And then I'm going to take this adorable Whimsy Stamps abstract Christmas tree set and stamp in VersaMagic. That's the watermark stamp pad. And I'm going to add some nice embossing powder to that and heat emboss. Now, to watercolor, I'm actually going to use VersaMagic inks. These inks are a multi-surface chalk ink, and they come in multiple colors, but the colors that I'm going to be using today are Red Magic, Mango Madness, Thatch Straw, Tea Leaves, which I show now, and then in addition I'll be using the blue, which is called Sea Breeze. Chalk inks work well on all kinds of surfaces, and they also react with water. I'm also using a watercoloring paintbrush, so the water is actually in the tube of that paintbrush, so I don't have to have a cup of water on my working space, which is nice because I tend to spill. All I'm going to do is take an acrylic block and simply stamp some of the ink from these Memento dewdrops onto my acrylic block and each color that I'd like to use. Now, I put a little bit too much on my block. When you do an image that's this size, you really don't need this much ink. So once I have every color there, I'll be able to put a little drop of water onto my acrylic block and then simply pick up color and add to the card. Now, the wonderful thing about doing this kind of watercoloring technique, I am a beginning watercolor. I've done a little bit here and there, but I tend to get a little messy and muddy with my watercoloring. And so the great thing about embossing an image like this is that you have the thick embossing lines built up on your watercolor paper so that your ink won't go outside of that. And that's great because, oftentimes when you watercolor, you'll put water down on the paper, you'll touch your ink to the water, and it spreads out. And so this technique really allows you to stay within those lines, but still get that beautiful watercoloring effect that, people who have been doing it for a long time get. So I'm simply adding the color. Sometimes I'm squeezing a little bit of water out of the brush, but for the most part, once your brush is wet, you can work with these chalk inks very simply. They dry very fast, which is another reason I like them. I tend to make my cards quick and be done with them, and with the chalk ink, it really works well to lay down your ink, let it dry for a few minutes, and then you can move on to actually card making. So I'm going to go ahead and speed up the video now, as you don't need to watch me do each color individually, but you can get the idea of how simple this technique is, and it's really fun, and it makes quick Christmas cards. So if you really want to make adorable Christmas cards that have kind of a watercolor effect, this does not take very long. Simple and easy this technique is using the VersaMagic multi-surface chalk inks. Just simply add a little bit of water to your brush and start painting away. And I think this is a simple way for you to get that beautiful watercoloring effect without having to have, anything extra really in your stash of crafting supplies. The VersaMagic inks work fabulous with any kind of stamp, really. They give you a really clean, even stamp, and you can also watercolor with them. So lastly, I'm just kind of going in and touching up some of the color, adding more blue, and darkening up some of the colors that I have here, just so I get a little more bold look. And so this is the final product. I hope you enjoyed today's tutorial and make sure to tune in to more Melissa Made to see fun creative projects.